Okay, today we are going to learn the 3D camera tracker as explained in the Adobe After Effects Classroom in a book for CS6. But it still is the same. So here we go. All right, I've started a new project. I'm going to hit Command I to import. And if you navigate to wherever you're keeping your book files, there's Lesson 12, and inside Lesson 12 there's an Assets folder, and we're going to grab this desktopc.mov. That's what we need right now. Now just as a safety precaution, I'm going to save this, Command-Shift-S, or Command-S, since it's the first save. And I'm going to navigate to the Lesson 12 and go to the Finish Project. Call this my first and last name, Lesson 12. Click Save. Now After Effects, if you have autosave turned on every 15 or 20 minutes, it's going to autosave for you. So hopefully you'll never lose more than 20 minutes worth of work if you get a crash. All right, so we want to create a new composition that is the exact length, frame rate, and frame size as this footage. What should I do? Okay, since this is the first sequence that I'm making, I can drag and drop it into the timeline panel. Otherwise, I would drag and drop it down onto the new sequence icon in your project panel. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to use the 3D camera tracker for After Effects and then place virtual text to make it look like it's floating over these objects on the same planes that these objects are on. So this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so first of all, we need to go up into our effects and presets. You can, if you want to, right-click on the layer, go to effects if you know which folder it's in. But since I know I want the 3D camera tracker, I'm just going to type camera into the search field for your effects and presets and drag the 3D camera tracker down onto this footage. Now it's going to analyze in the background, but as it's doing that, I want to twirl down my advanced, and I'm going to want to increase the analysis of this. So under the advanced twirl down, detailed analysis, I'm going to turn that on. And it's actually going to restart that analysis. See, it's going through. Start it over again. But the detailed analysis will just create a better look. Now, this is just pixels moving. What the 3D camera tracker does is it analyzes different points on these different objects, and it tries to follow them around, and then you use any 3 points to triangulate a surface. Okay, so if there are 3 points on the record that are being tracked really well, then you can take those 3 points and you can create a virtual surface that is the same as this record. There's not a lot of contrast on the table, so there's not really going to be any points that it can track. Now when I say points, it's looking for like these intersections all over this guitar or this ukulele are going to be great points for it to track. And as the camera moves around, see these little X's that just formed? These little X's all over the image? These are points that the 3D tracker found that the software says, hey, I think I can follow that. But if it ever loses it, then hopefully there will be other points that the camera can lock onto to resolve the motion of the camera. Okay. So right now we just have a bunch of dots. I need to select the camera tracker. we just have a bunch of dots all over this footage. Now what we need to do is use those dots to create a plane in 3D. We also need to make a camera for 3D that's going to follow the motion that we're seeing in the footage. So let's go back to roughly, let's just go back to frame 1, okay? And watch what happens as I move my mouse over this image. What we're going to do is we're going to try and find, as I move my mouse over, we're going to try and find a surface that little target that I'm seeing looks like it's the exact same surface as the record is sitting on. That one looks pretty close to me. Can you guys see how that's off? That's definitely not looking like it's the same surface as the record to me. All right, so I'm going to just move my mouse right here. Both of these look pretty good. So with that lit up like that, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say create text and camera, because we're going to put text on this record. Then what that does is it creates a camera. And if I go to my views here, let me just show you what this camera is doing. I'm going to look at the camera from the top. And if I scrub along here, take a look at how this camera is moving. Okay, so it tried to create this text layer to look like it's on the same plane or the same surface that the record is on. And then this camera is just going to move around, this virtual camera is going to move around this text layer, mimicking the motion of all those points that the 3D camera tracker resolved. And hopefully, the end result is virtual text on footage that's following the footage. And this does a pretty good job. Let me just play it back here. All right, it's pretty good. It's not perfect. The reason why it's not perfect, I could try this again, but I'm not going to, just because I want to show you the principles here. Let me go to one view. Okay, now take a look at the relationship between this text layer and where this Buddha is sitting. If this text were sitting on the same surface as the Buddha's foot, then the Buddha's foot would always stay right in between the E and the X. But watch what's kind of happening here. The Buddha's foot just kind of went in between, like not this point of the E and the X, it's down here. So it drifted a little bit. So it's not a perfect motion track, but it's pretty close. It's close enough that right now what I want to do is, right now the text is laying flat on the table, right? Or at least it looks like it is. So we need to have it stand up, and then we'll lift it up off the surface of the table. So thinking about rotation and position, what would I need to do to get this text to stand up? If it's laying flat on a horizontal surface, then what would I need to do to the rotation to make it stand up straight? Yeah, I would need to rotate it on the X value, because X is the horizontal axis. So if I hit R, right now the orientation is set at all these crazy degrees to make it look like it's on the table. But if I take the X rotation and rotate it up 90 degrees, then it's standing. Now what I can do is in my composition panel, I can grab the Y handle using my selection tool, and I can drag that directly vertical. Now what I can do, let me just scrub through this and see how I feel about it. That actually made it look better. Now it looks like it's actually sitting out in front of Buddha. So let's see what happens if I go around this way. See, my vantage point's actually really good. It still looks like it's out in front of Buddha. So it's covering Buddha the whole time. All right. Are we happy with that? Should we leave it? Let's call this one record. Record. Whoops. I'm also going to change this text so it's a little bit smaller. I don't want it to quite be that big. And that's pretty good. So let's do another one. Let's put another one right on the front of this mini guitar. It's a ukulele, right?
It's a ukulele.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the desktop.mov, selected in the timeline, and then that will show you the 3D camera tracker and the effects controls panel. So you'll select that to show your points, and then you can maybe grab another surface. Now here's the thing. I created the record surface using frame 1, but that ukulele is kind of back behind. I'm not really, maybe that's a good plane, I don't know. You can do this from any point. So I'm actually going to drag my playhead forward until I feel like there are enough points on this to get a good surface. And and that's looking pretty good to me. That looks like it's right. So this time I'm going to right click, and we already have a camera, so it's not asking me to make a new camera. I can create a new solid, I can create a null object, I can create a shadow catcher and a light.
Scott, how did you get the bullseye back again?
Yeah, I selected the layer because the camera tracker is on the movie file, and then I selected the 3D camera tracker in the effects controls panel. Another way to do that is because I have the 3D camera tracker effect on the layer, if I have the layer selected and hit E, that will reveal all the effects that are on that layer in the timeline. So I can select it down there also. Okay, so E for effect if you want to see what effects you've got. Okay, let me see if I can get that plane back. That's it. For me, that's it. Okay, so right click, create text. And I'm going to change that text to by me. And I'm going to make the text smaller. So right now, that plane hopefully will look like it's exactly on the ukulele. But I kind of got it wrong a little bit. See how it's leaning backward? I can correct that myself using the rotation, the orientation, and change the rotation. So maybe, let's see if I can change the X orientation to make it look like it's there. Maybe rotate it up so it looks like it's really in line. There. Now, position-wise, if I use my selection tool, I can grab that Z handle, pull it forward, and then maybe raise it up again.
How did you rotate it?
I hit R and I changed the orientation values of the X and the Z value. See, from the side you can tell,
Right.
so you can tweak that until it looks like it's on the same plane. Those planes, as you can tell, they're not perfect. You can't. I mean, you're just using your best
That
guess.
just gives you a really good starting point.
Yeah, it gives you a really good place to start from. Okay. Now the book tells you to do this with every single thing. Just to mess around, what else would be a good surface to try and put something on? Camera lens is an excellent surface because it's this nice round thing. So let's see. I'm going to select the camera tracker effect, see if I can find a plane that looks like I can put it right on that camera lens. Okay, maybe not at that frame. Let me go forward. That looks pretty good. So, create text. See how that looks. Oh, that's kind of off too. So just select that text layer, hit R, and I'll just tweak these till it looks like it's in line with the camera. Looks like I'm going to need some Y rotation here too. All right. So spatially, that text looks like it ought to be going into that vase and cutting into it. So spatially, I'll just bring this forward. Now it looks like it's floating in between the camera and the ukulele. So if I bring it down, let's see what happens here. Wah, wah. See that ukulele passing in front? That text is supposed to be behind the ukulele, right? Okay, so we need to create another layer that's going to obstruct the text layer as it passes in front of this text layer. So I'm going to type in cover because that needs to be covered. Is everybody with me up to this point? The book tells you to put prices and labels and change the text a whole bunch, but we're only going to do these three right now. Oh, we can put another one on the, actually put one on the table. I wonder if we can. Anyway, we can do this using rotoscoping, or I've never done it before, but I'm going to try and use a solid layer to cover it. So let's try to find a better surface for this ukulele. I'm going to hit Command A to select everything, and then U to uncover keyframes, and then U again to collapse everything because everything was getting a little cluttered on my screen. All right, so if I select desktop.mov layer, hit E, that'll show my camera tracker. Select the camera tracker. Now I can get another surface going here. So let me try to pick a surface that's going to be right in line with that ukulele. Maybe this one will be better. So if I write, whoa, I lost it. That one. So if I right click there, this one I'm going to create a solid. All right, so now I have a solid. I need that solid to be a little bit bigger because I want it to be the same as the ukulele. It's not though. See that? That's off kilter too. This isn't in the book. This goes beyond what the book is teaching. I don't even know if I'm going to be successful here. All right. I need to change the size of that solid so it's a little bit bigger. So the key command for that with the solid selected is Command-Shift-Y, and that'll change the solid settings. Right now it's 1080 by 1080. Actually, that is big enough. So I'm going to cancel that. Go to my scale. Oh, wait a second. It's not big enough. Command-Shift-Y. I'm going to make this more like 2000 by 2000. Click OK. And that ought to give me a big enough surface that I want to back that to the back of the ukulele. I don't even know if this is going to work. We'll see. Now, I'm going to take my pen tool. No. Before that, I'm going to change the opacity of this surface. Bring it way back here. Let me just make sure that looks like it's on the ukulele. Okay. Now right here on this frame, I'm at 6 seconds in. I'm going to zoom in and use my pen tool and trace the outside of this ukulele, and we'll see how good I do. So G for pen tool, click, drag these handles out so I can trace the outside of this ukulele. Should hide those text layers so I can see the ukulele better. Alright, so that's all I need. Try to do a better job at tracing this. I'm going to hide these text layers for a second. New keyboard tip to hide all the selected layers. Command, Option, Shift, V for visibility. That's one you just commit to memory someday. Someday when you've got time to commit a new one to memory, that's a good one. All right. So that's pretty good. I might need to feather that a little bit because that's a pretty crisp line right now. But let's put that opacity back up to 100% and see how well it follows. And if it doesn't follow very well at all, then I would have to repeat that with a new surface that follows it better. But I almost lucked out and got that at a pretty good spot. See, it drifts off at the end here and it drifts off at the beginning. But I'm going to turn on this cover layer again, and I'm going to use a track matte for my solid layer that's following the ukulele. And this time I'm going to do an alpha inverted matte, so anything outside of it will be visible and anything inside the track matte will be invisible for the cover layer. Now it will kind of look like it's going back behind the ukulele. Not perfect, but pretty close. Okay, let me show you another method. You're going to hate this one. Let's take the record layer and duplicate it. And let's raise it up, rotate it backward. This is my rotation tool, by the way. Let's move it this way. Move it up. And now I'm going to rename this, or change the text of this one to say behind cup. Now I'm going to push it back so that it's probably roughly behind the cup. Oh, nope, it's on top of the cup right now. Okay, so I got to go back farther. Maybe down. Let's see what that looks like. Still kind of looks like it's on it, huh? Let's look at it from this view. Behind.
Can you do keyframes on the text so while it moves it adjusts placement?
Yeah, you can keyframe this text. You can keyframe it all the same ways.
So to get more exact for your mask, that's what you would do.
Yeah, for this mask, well, that's what I'm going to do next. Actually, I'm going to rotoscope this cup out. So this time, I'm just going to create a new solid. So Command Y, I'm going to make this the same size as the comp. I'm going to make it, blue is fine, but this one I'm going to make green. Click OK. Again, change the opacity way down so that I can see the footage behind it. And now we're going to do the fun task of rotoscoping a mask. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in on this so I can see it nice and clear. Use my pen tool to create a mask around this cup. Whoops. All right. And all I need is the part where I know that that is going to go behind. All I need is this top curve. All right. And we'll go back and feather this a little bit later. But with that set, you now have a mask that's hidden behind the cup, and I'm on frame 1 right now. Okay, so let's hit M for mask path, and then turn on keyframes for mask path. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keyframe every frame of this footage and make that mask follow the cup. That's what rotoscoping is. So when you go to a movie that's very visual effects driven, bow your head to the 100 names that are going to be on the screen for 50 seconds at the end of the credits, because this is sweatshop work right here. These people get paid not enough to do the work they do, because they have to do this for really long hours. All right, so I'll show you the really tedious way, and then I'll show you the more sloppy way, the cut corners way. The really tedious way would be to advance one frame and then carefully make sure that that mask is still right over that cup. Go forward one frame, carefully make sure that the mask is still over the cup.
So real quick, how do you select the points?
I'm using my selection tool. So if you single click on one of these points, then that reveals its handle. You can adjust the handle. If you need to, with one of these points selected, see how if I grab this way, it does both sides of the point, bends the line on both sides. If I wanted to just bend one side of it so that it formed a hard turn at the point, then I would have to use my pen tool and then hold down Alt or Option when I grab that point, and it'll grab the one point and move it up. The pen tool. It takes practice, guys, the pen tool.
It's horrible.
It's show me a better way to do this, you know. All right, so the really tedious way is to go every single frame, right? So the way to cut corners is you go forward maybe 5 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you adjust it, and you hope that over the space of those 5 frames, the mask is still on the cup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, it drifted off a little bit. So then you go in between and you make little adjustments. All right.
So when I use my arrow keys, it moves the mask, not the playhead.
You gotta control.
You have to use command arrow or page up and page down. We'll go one frame at a time. So I'm going to go 10 frames this time. So I'm going to do shift, command, right arrow, and that'll go forward 10 frames. And this time I'm going to try selecting this keyframe right here. We'll select the entire mask. I'm going to try moving the entire mask, and that gets me pretty close. Then if I select off to the side, that deselects the mask. Then if I select one point, I can, with that one point selected, I can then drag a box around the points that I want to move, and I can move all those together simultaneously. That was redundant. Anyway, now I can go back frame by frame and hope that I'm on. I got some drifting over on this side. Actually, the whole thing's drifting. See, this is why the rotoscopers, they should all be parents, because it takes so much patience. Get it? All right. I'm going to just go 10 frames. I'm going to continue to do this the really sloppy way because I don't have time to show you cleaning this up every single frame. Okay, it's going off sideways a little bit, so with the entire mask selected, I can double click on any point and it'll create a binding box that I can then just rotate the whole thing, move it up onto the position, do a little scaling. Hit enter, I'll save it. Go forward 10 frames, Command T. So tedious. All right, you catch the drift, right? Okay, let's pretend I did that for the entire clip. I only got 2 seconds into it, and that wasn't even very tidy. All right, so let's do the same thing. Let's turn this rotoscoped image back to 100%. Now we need to go to behind cup text, and we need to put that stacking. We need to stack that below the green solid so we can use the green solid as a track mat. And again, we'll do the alpha inverted mat, and then anywhere that mask is, that'll cover that text layer so that it'll appear to be a virtual text in space floating behind the cup. Okay, so if you want to get like street cred, then do this to the point where you can't even tell where this visual effects end and the footage starts, and then you can become a visual effects rotoscoper if that's your career goal. So to further make this a little bit more convincing, I would probably need to soften the mask on this green solid just slightly, because yeah, 2 pixels is good. No, actually 1 pixel will probably be good. It's actually in pretty good focus. I'm going to bring the mask expansion in a little bit. 1 pixel? Okay. So if you just took that one frame right there, that for the behind cup layer, that's somewhat convincing, right? All right. So then if you remember from chapter either 10 or 11, where they took the duplicate layers and they set them back 1 pixel at a time or 2 pixels at a time, you can create what would look like extruded text. Essentially, position-wise, yeah, if you duplicated that several times and then just set it back slightly, then eventually it would start to look like it was extruded. But then you would have, yeah. Like I said, if you're really ambitious, then you can go for it. But I'm not feeling that ambitious today. But one last thing, let's try to put something on the table here at the end. So let's go to the video, select the 3D camera tracker, see if we can find, we might have to use that record again actually. Let's try to go till that looks like it's right on the record. Oh, maybe there. Let's create a new solid. Oh, actually we need to create a null. Where did it go? Track null. Oh, that's tiny. I don't want to use that.
Scale that bad boy.
Well, I could. Yeah, make it bigger. Okay. Do you guys get what I did there? I took its position handles and I drug it, you know, in the X and the Y value in hopes that it would put it on the table. So let me just look. Oh no, that's way off. That's terrible. That's awful. That's bad. How does the book tell you to do it? With the record, right? Okay, let's do the record again. See if we can get this to work. Let's put this right there. That looks great. Right click. Let's create a null. Let's leave the null there now. See, there it is right there. Now what we can do is take the same we need to put something on the surface here, but parent it to the null. That's following pretty good. All right. So let's go find a logo of some sort. Let's use my logo. Might not be big enough. So I'm going to import that. Okay, I'm going to try first. I'm going to see if it'll work to replace the null object with my PNG that I just imported. The way to do that, does anybody remember how to do this? This is something you do a lot.
Do what?
I want to replace the null on that I just created with this image file that I just imported.
Drag it down and parent it.
Okay, yeah, you can drag it down and parent it, but then you have to magically try and get it on the same plane and have it over here. Yeah, okay, so with the null selected, you can drag and drop it down here, but you have to hold down Option. And when you do that, it'll replace the layer. that surface is a lot better. It actually kind of looks like it's going along. That might be way off again. So I'm going to scale this up. I don't know why it's invisible.
Because your opacity is down still.
Yep. All right. So let's see how I did. Crap. Let's move it up here. Okay, let's see how I did. Looks good right there. Looks pretty good right there. Yeah, it wasn't so bad. It drifts a little bit there at the end, but it's okay. I'm not going to win an Academy Award for that one, but it's all right.
Hey, you'll have to
It's
do
pretty cool.
something.
Pretty cool for just like a couple of clicks. Say, oh, follow the make a camera that follows this, so I can put some virtual objects in the scene. It's pretty cool, right? All right. I didn't save that whole time. I'm gonna save now. It's a good idea.
It is a good idea because my computer crashed halfway through that and it never saved.
It didn't.
Never saved.
Hmm.
So I had to pull it up on the other computer. But it's okay.